Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel, and this is the Player in Focus show it's Dan James from the Real Sociedad game that was played in Turin, the 4-0 win in Turin the other night. I did the rating show, for the first time I did it without having re-watched the game. Anybody who watches regularly knows that I will always say you need to watch the game at least once more, possibly even twice, to give a fair rating, unless you're going to study it closely and watch one particular player rather than watch the game as the game itself. You need to concentrate on that player to be able to say what you think is a fair assessment of that player. Or you need to at least watch the game 2 or 3 times before you can make assessments of all the players. So I chose Dan James. I said, look, I've looked at one or two of the players might have played slightly better than I said, or slightly less well. But I did pick Dan James because he got particularly low marks in so many instances. And it wasn't so much the mark that they gave him in the evening news, which was the Manchester Evening News that I looked at the other night. It was what they actually wrote about him, the comments about him, the only dubious inclusion, and it showed. So the only dubious inclusion. I often say that obviously they're already generalising about what they think about that player. You shouldn't do that. You should look at that game and decide what you think about that game. So already Dan James is on the back foot, if you like. You know, the writer clearly doesn't think a lot of him, and he's probably not going to think a lot of him, whatever he does in that game. So the only dubious inclusion, and it showed. And then he's put nigh on anonymous and ran around like a headless chicken. Nigh on anonymous and ran around like a headless chicken. Then they've put improved in the second half, kept going and got a goal. Improved in the second half, kept going. Well, they've actually said he got a goal, which he did get a goal, but they put improved in the second half. It was in the second half that he got his goal. He was also credited with an assist for Bruno, and I think he also had the ball in the net in the second half, where Mason Greenwood was flagged offside. So they've said he played better in the second half. I believe they think that he played better in the second half just because he had more goal involvement in the second half. What I've done is I've taken 10 clips from the first half. I'm going to talk through the 10 clips of the first half, and I'm going to discuss as I go whether Dan James was running around like a headless chicken in the first half. And I thought he played, like I say, he was one of the few that I upped. They gave him a 6. From the comments that they've mentioned about him, I'm surprised that they gave him a 6. A 6 is decent or above average, and I thought he played well on the night. And on my markings, if somebody played well, if they had a good game, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he played like Johan Cruyff or anything, but he certainly played well enough. I would say that he had a good game and deserved a 7. So I upped him to a 7 from a 6. Like I say, the actual comments about him, I'm surprised they actually gave him a 6, but they did give him a 6. But I upped it to a 7, and having re-watched it and studied his game, I do believe he was worth at least a 7, if not better than that. An 8 is very good, and I don't think it'd be too outlandish to say that he was worth an 8, Dan James. So as I said, I've taken these clips just from the first half because the commenter says that he got better in the second half. So I'm going to show some bits about his first half and things that he did well in the first half, and why I thought he played well in the first half, not just in the second half of the game. And the first clip number 1, it's a pretty simple one, but it's just him being busy. They've had a corner. They cleared it from the corner. He gets out of the box, attempts to block the cross. He can't block the cross. The cross goes into the box. It gets headed out. It comes into where Dan James is, the area of the field where Dan James is, and he challenges in the air. But he is only little, and he can't win it in the air. But the opponent doesn't take a great touch, and it bounces towards Dan James, and he puts just a lovely look. It is simple. He makes it look easy as well. Little pass over the over that player's head. First time pass, by the way, to Fred, and United are out on a break from a lovely simple pass. I mean, some players might have cleared the lines there. Some people might have tried to take a touch, but he just does the right thing. And I'm always saying I want my players to make the right decisions and do the simple things well. I'm not saying this is anything fantastic. I'm just saying it's a simple thing done well, and I will get to better things and different types of things as well shortly. But that's just the first one, and it's just a nice little pass in his own third that gets United out. The second clip, you need to watch this carefully, really. The bit that you need to watch carefully is after he makes the pass and he sets off on his run. Because what happens here, he sees that they're going to try and play a cross-field pass, and he just gets back into his own half to intercept that pass. He intercepts it on his chest, and he plays a nicely weighted ball into Mason Greenwood's feet. This is the bit that you need to watch carefully. As he plays that ball into Mason Greenwood's feet, first of all, if you look at Mason at the moment that Dan plays it, Mason's got 2 or 3 yards on his centre-back. He's got space. He's not being hit from the back or pushed from the back when the ball's played to him, which sometimes happens with centre-forwards. He has got time. So Dan plays that ball into Mason's feet, and Mason's only 10 yards away, and he's expecting Mason to hold that ball. I know I'm always referring to Anthony Marshall, and I probably will refer to him 2 or 3 times, although he wasn't on the field at this point. But a player like Martial, he takes a touch there. You can't just fire it straight back at him. He's not expecting you to fire it straight back at him. And this is the bit that I want you to watch. As he passes it to Mason, he sets off. He's expecting Mason to get hold of that ball, lay it into midfield, and somebody can. You're playing triangles. You lay that off, and Dan's on the run. He can be running past those players as the ball then gets played through. So he's not expecting. He's not giving that ball to Mason for Mason to give it back to him, and he's certainly not expecting Mason not to take a touch. So it's a good piece of play by Dan, which is obvious in the first instance. It's a nice interception, controls it well on his chest and passes it well. So that's all dead easy to see. But then you might think, well, that's not so clever. He should have done better there, Dan James. But it's not really his fault. He's had to put the brakes on quickly. He passes it to Mason and he sets off, and suddenly he's got to put the brakes on and try and adjust himself. And you know, it looks like, well, he does make a mess of it, but he makes a mess of it. But it starts by Mason doing the wrong thing twice, really, in one instant. First, he should take a touch. That's what you've got to do. I've said that time and time again on different shows. When you can take a touch, take a touch. It's nearly always. There's the odd time it's not right, but nearly always you're better off taking a touch. Mason should take a touch. He doesn't. He fires it back at Dan James, and he doesn't get hold of it. Clip number 3. This is about a run that he makes. He doesn't touch the ball in this. United are on the defensive. He's in his own third, and United win the ball back and they go on a break. When they go on a break, obviously, what I'm talking about here is the way they talk about a headless chicken, right? This is intelligent running as fast as it is. I don't know if some people sometimes see people who run really quickly and just automatically think that they're headless chickens. But we win the ball back. So the first thing he needs to do is to be because we're on a break, he needs to be as far up the field as possible. But you can't just keep running and keep running. You've got to time your run as well. There's timing's involved. But when he's so deep as he is on this occasion, you've got to get up there quickly. So we win the ball back, we go on the break, and he sprints about 40 yards. So when he's sprinted about 40 to 50 yards, he's then getting on top of where the defenders are. At this point, he needs to slow down. So you'll see him slow down. We've got the ball on the left. We're now just inside their half. So then he slows down because it's not the right thing to be offside if he runs past the defenders. Obviously, if a ball gets played behind those defenders, he will spurt again. But that doesn't happen. So they carry the ball further. The ball is played. I'm not sure who's on the overlap. It might be Tellez. It might be. Oh, it's Mason Greenwood, I think. Yes, it is Mason Greenwood. So the ball carrier plays it to Mason Greenwood. So once it's played to Mason Greenwood, we're now approaching the edge of the box. From the edge of the D and just into the box, he makes another spurt. So at this moment, he's trying to lose the defenders, put the defenders off. and he's also trying to put himself in a position where he can get onto the ball if the ball comes across. But Mason doesn't play it across. He takes it closer to the dead ball line. Now, whenever you get to somewhere near the dead ball line, so Dan has made a burst into the box now, but slows again. When he slows again, that is to try and lose his marker, let his marker carry on and you stop. The ball could come in behind that marker, but then Mason is suddenly at the dead ball line. Just as he reaches the dead ball line, James sprints again. So this is his second spurt, if you like. Well, it's third, including the first 40 or 50 yard one to actually get up the field. He then spurts again to get in the box, but then he puts another spurt on to get into the 6 yard box. When he gets into the 6 yard box, it's all about timing. He's trying to time his run for when Mason plays the ball across, and Mason should fire that ball across the 6 yard box. He should just fire it. He's left-footed. He's on the left. His left foot certainly is stronger foot if he's two-footed, if you want to call him two-footed. But his left foot is his favourite. He should fire that ball across the 6 yard box. And James times his run. But once you're in that box, it's not obvious then that he's made a good run because Mason pulls it back towards the edge of the box and the chance is gone. He should fire it across the 6 yard box. And Dan James is timing his run to be there. He's there at the moment that Mason should play it. So it's good. It's a real, it's not, he doesn't even touch the ball in this clip. But don't forget, I've written it down. I'm talking about the commenter saying, and you hear this quite often about him, he ran around like a headless chicken. Well, this run from his own half is perfectly correct. Everything he does about it is fine. It's the ball not coming in. You can't blame a lad for not. Can you blame a lad? Mason should really play it across the 6 yard box, but that's the first time in the whole sequence where maybe the ball should have come to Dan James. But if the ball does come across the 6 yard box, at that point, James has got a tap in, more or less a tap in. Obviously, a centre forward you wouldn't expect to be at the edge of his own box, which is where they started. But once he gets to the edge of their box, if this was Cavani on the edge of the box and he makes a little dart and slows a bit and then darts again into the 6 yard box, the commentators would be saying, look at Cavani's move. I promise you, I'm not comparing, before you say it in the comments, I'm not comparing Dan James to Cavani. All I'm saying is people need to see that some of our players can do things that they don't think they can do. It's a very simple thing, but is it a simple thing? If it's a simple thing, why do we rave about Cavani's movement in the box if it's such a simple thing? You know, Cavani's movement in the box is great, and this movement in the box by Dan James is great. It really is. But the ball doesn't come. You know, you're not in control of that ball coming in, and it doesn't come in. Clip number 4. This is an excellent piece of play by Dan James. McTominay tries to play the ball to him. James wants it more in front of himself to run onto it, but McTominay's ball, A, it's a little bit heavy, and B, it's a little bit more on the diagonal than it should be, and it's going to go out for a throw-in. So he has to spurt to try and keep it in, and he just keeps it in, but because he can only just keep it in, he can't keep it perfectly under control. But he does turn it down the line, so it stays within his path, if you like. Another few strides after it, at full tilt, he then reverses a pass to Bruno, about 30 yard pass, 25 yard pass, say at least. He reverses it, but it's his second touch pass. I love, this is what we need to be doing more, like the best of big teams, like the best teams do. 1 and 2 touch football. Dan James plays some lovely 1 and 2 touch football in this first half. The first half is the half where most people said he didn't play well. And despite the fact that this is, you know, he's had to sprint to keep it in, then his touch, he can't keep it, he's stretching so much to keep it in, he can't keep it completely under his control. He has to sprint again to get to it again, but then still plays a second touch pass, reverses it without really looking. It doesn't look like he looks to me, and it's straight to Bruno's feet, who's 25 yards behind him. And I think that's a brilliant piece of play by Dan James. That's clip number 4. Clip number 5 is excellent again. He intercepts in his own third, and his first touch is the interception. His second touch, like I keep saying, 1 and 2 touch football. His second touch pass, it's only short, but that's what we want. We want short passing, we want quick passing, we want alert passing. He intercepts it with his first touch. His second touch is a lovely pass to Bruno. Bruno's got time on the ball. That's why James has given it him, and he can turn and he puts a long ball through to Rashford, who, you know, we're on the attack from our own third, from an interception by Dan James and a lovely weighted second touch pass. Lovely play by Dan James. United are on the break, and if that's an headless chicken, then I don't. Well, if that looks like an headless chicken to you, it certainly doesn't to me. Clip number 6. It's 34 seconds long. This clip. They did interchange quite a lot. I've got it written down. I've got to get my head around this a little bit. It's 34 seconds long. They've interchanged it. They interchanged quite a bit on the night. In this particular clip, Rashford's on the right wing, Mason's on the left wing, and Dan James is at centre forward. Yeah, it's about team shape, this one. You're talking about headless chickens. Some of our defending from the front against Everton, and it cost us goals as well, was like headless chickens. If you want to see defending like from the front like headless chickens, have a look at the Everton game. This is not like headless chickens. The team shape's better. We're letting them have it. We're letting them have it in their half. Let them have it. Just sit back a little bit. Wait for them to make a mistake. Wait for them to try and get through you. Against Everton, we were running up too quickly, too often, and they were getting through us too easy, and there's too much of a gap between the midfield players and the forwards. Dan James, you can see here, is in the number 9 position. And he presses once, but then they do get around us. When they do get around us, one of their opponents makes a run towards our box, and he tracks him into our final third. But once he's tracked him, he's then in the final third, and we've got enough players behind the ball, and he leaves that player. And then they've reversed it. They don't feed that player. They reverse it 10 yards. So when they reverse it, he's then out sharp to challenge the player that it's been reversed to, and he wins a free kick. Lots of people will remember him winning this free kick, but what they won't realise is that he's in their half putting pressure on. He's not putting pressure on. He's in the face. He's just making sure that he's in shape. The team is in shape, so they can't play through us too easily. Well, they can't often. Sometimes it happens, but they do get through on this occasion. But when they do, he tracks back till the right moment. He leaves that man. They reverse it. That's why he leaves that man. They've reversed it, and he's out again at the next man, and wins a free kick for United. And it's an excellent piece of play without even touching the ball. Well, he does touch the ball on the free kick, but I mean, for most of that clip, he's not touching the ball. Clip number 7. This is about United win the ball back on the left-hand side of the field in our own final third. And the clip shows Mason is in like an inside right position. Dan is only just outside him, but when we win it and start to move forward, Dan James runs past Mason Greenwood into the centre forward position. This could be a moment where somebody might say, well, that's like an headless chicken. But you do need, if you're going to break, you do need somebody who wants to be the spearhead, who wants to be getting towards their goal, whether it's for a long ball or whether it's when we get up there, you're just going to be in the box. But you do need somebody who's keen to be that spearhead or that person who gets in the box. Now, if you look at this clip, Mason's in the inside right channel, and even before Dan James runs past him towards the centre forward position, it's not like Dan's taken his spot. Mason looks up and he realises that we've got the ball. And just look at Mason's movement first. Maybe watch the clip a couple of times. Mason's first movement is to just drop back a little bit. Mason is trying to find space. I'm not criticising him. He's trying to find space. He realises we won the ball in the left back area and we started to move the ball up the field, and he's trying to drop into a little bit of space away from the defenders to give them an option to, if they want to put it across the field, they can. Now, I'm not knocking him for that. I'm really not. It's sometimes the right move, sometimes it's the wrong move. What I do know is that in a similar situation, and this is why I said I know I'll mention Anthony Martial again. I've seen Anthony Martial playing at number 9 and make similar movements. And I've seen pundits, I've seen this on the TV, and I've seen pundits say, why is he doing that? Is he not keen to score goals? Has he got no desire? Where's his desire? I'm talking about Anthony Martial here now, and I always argue on Anthony Martial's favour. So I'm not knocking Mason. I'm talking about how they look at players differently, the pundits, and when they're pundits on the TV, not like me with a few thousand followers on YouTube. They've got hundreds of thousands, possibly even millions of people watching what they're saying. And I've seen them pick on Martial and say, where's his desire? He should be busting a gut there to get into the centre forward position, to get up to their penalty area, to get in the box, to be the man who's going to be the person who's on the end of a chance. So, like I say, it might, look, you do want somebody who wants to be that person, but it doesn't have to be the same person all the time. So I'm not knocking Mason. He steps back a little bit. It's only a yard, but he pauses, if you like, rather than bursting forward, making himself an option so that the attack can develop. Sometimes that might be the right thing to do. But it is handy that you've got someone who is determined to get forward, who does want to put pressure on the opposition and be the person who's at the spearhead. And Dan James makes himself that person, whereas Mason drops a little bit. Have a look at it, make of it what you will. Clip number 8 isn't for everyone. This is it's about team shape, this. First of all, you'll see their number 8's free. They've got the ball. Their number 8's free, and he's in a slightly more central position. The instant the clip starts, you'll see that Mason's a touch nearer to their number 8, but their number 8 is free, and he does need picking up. He's only just outside Mason Greenwood, but he's just outfield from Mason. But Dan runs past Mason and gets to the number 8. He's then marking that number 8. You don't have to mark people tightly. When you're working on your team shape, it's about not letting them. Our team shape was better. It wasn't, it's not a coincidence that the team shape was better and we won 4-0. It really isn't a coincidence. And what Dan James does is he runs to that number 8 and he's just close enough to threaten him. Threaten him, i.e. I'm here, I can stop you getting that ball. If you want to turn, I'm here. So when the ball gets played into the number 8 just has to pass it backwards. That's the idea of being in a good team shape. You make them go backwards if you can. You make them go sideways if you can. But you don't want to let them turn. You don't want to let them go forward so towards your goal. So he passes it backwards. And the team shape, like it's 48 seconds long, this clip, and you can see that we're making them pass the ball around and they're not been able to get through. When they go backwards into their own half, Bruno runs forward. And when Bruno runs forward, Dan James drops into the number 10 position. And for about 15 seconds or so, you can see that Bruno is at number 9 and Dan James is playing in the number 10 role, and I can't remember which way around it is, but I think it's Mason who's slightly to the right because they did swap a few times, and Rashford's to the left. But you'll see that Dan James, when one of their players drops deeper to try and receive a pass, Dan James goes with him. But then when they knock the ball long, he turns and runs backwards. So Dan James is taking up the role that Bruno should be taking. The reason I'm showing this because the writer has written that he's running around like a headless chicken, and it's something that you do hear levelled at Dan James. I've heard it before, that saying. If you just study him in this clip, I put a tweet out while I was watching the game, by the way. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I knew he was playing well. While the game was going on, I put Dan James is the most intelligent. I didn't say intelligent. The smartest. I said Dan James is the smartest player out there, and Twitter went mad when I got a few private messages saying stop winding people up. You got 1 or 2 messages, and look, this particular clip, I've seen this because I've watched it again. I didn't spot this on the night. I just spotted, I was just spotted that his touch was good, his passing was good, making himself available, good runs into the box. So I just put a tweet out because I know people talk about his lack of intelligence, which is ridiculous. And that's why I did that on the night. But having watched it again, just watching this, him dropping into a number 10 role, only for 40, it's about, well, he's not in it to start with, it's 40 odd seconds long, the clip. But he ends up taking over the number 10 role because Bruno's run up to challenge their defenders. So, look, I'm not knocking Bruno, but if anybody's running around like an headless chicken in this clip, it's Bruno. It's not Dan James. Dan James has dropped into the number 10 role because Bruno's run forward. And look, number 10s have got to score goals, like Bruno's scoring goals. They've got to make chances. They've got to set the wheels in motion. But they've also got to play their defensive role well and intelligently. And in this clip, you can see Dan James playing the role of a number 10 in his defensive position perfectly, getting forward to challenge their player who's trying to offer for the ball, and then when it doesn't go to him and it goes forward, he's getting back immediately to help out in midfield. And that clip is all about team shape, and then Bruno vacating the number 10 spot and Dan James intelligently filling in that position for him. Clip number 9 is a loose touch in our third by one of their players. On this occasion, Dan's on him like a rocket again. They can't take a loose touch when he's about. Straight onto it, and not a touch. When I say a first touch pass, it's not a touch and then a pass. His actual touch is a pass. Straight onto it, and that is proper intelligent play. Class it is. Straight onto it. Fred's available. He's in his own third. Some players are not too smart at passing the ball around in their own third, but he's straight onto it, Dan James. First touch pass straight into Fred, and then Dan James is off. And he arrives in the box just as we get forward, but the move breaks down. But he starts that move with a nice interception. First touch pass to Fred in his own third. Sprints up the field like an headless chicken if you want, but in my book, because that's the right time to make that sprint forward and to end up in the box as we get the ball near the edge of their box. And I think Bruno and McTominay try and get through in with a 1-2 or whatever. It goes out for a goal kick. But Dan James hasn't done anything wrong by sprinting 80 yards to get into the box in the hope that that ball comes into the box. And the final clip, I've only done the first half. I've done the first half because everybody said he played so. And it's 10 clips. I can put 10 clips on one thread. So I've only done the first half. And this is clip number 10 of the first half. Monreal, their left back, takes a loose touch. Again, can't take a loose touch while Dan's around. Straight onto it. Little touch past Monreal, it'd be away. And Monreal drags him down. And how Monreal gets away without getting a yellow card in that instance is absolutely astonishing. Like I say, that's all in the first half. There's 10 clips there from the first half. And so many people I've spoken to, friends of mine, United fans, have said Dan James was terrible. He came alive a bit. He did okay in the second half. All they're saying that for is because he scored a goal in the second half. That's the main reason. That is the main reason. He played perfectly well and was worth his 7 in the first half. So in the first half, he played well. And he got a 7 out of 10 in the first half. And if he did do better in the second half, then in the second half, he should get an 8. So call it 7.5. So that's that on Dan James as the player in focus from the Real Sociedad game the other night. It's Newcastle. This is a recorded programme on Saturday afternoon. Tomorrow it's Newcastle at Old Trafford, desperate for the 3 points. I think Dan James played that well. Ollie must be considering starting him. That's how well I think he played. I think Ollie must be. I don't think he will start him, but I'm certain it will be in his mind, should I start Dan James? It wouldn't surprise me if he did. I don't think he will. I think he'll go. I think De Gea will come back in as well as Henderson played the other night. I think Lindelof will come back in. Bailey did okay in the end, but he was particularly dodgy in the first 2 or 3 minutes. One ball that went under his foot. Sometimes in football you get away with things, sometimes you don't. Last week Lindelof got a hand in his face. Maybe the ref could have given a free kick. He didn't give a free kick. You know, on another occasion, that defender heads the ball straight at the that striker heads the ball straight at the keeper, but he doesn't. He heads it straight into the net, so you don't get away with your mistake. The other night, Bailey let one go under his foot in the first 90 seconds, and they could have scored. They didn't score. If they did score, Bailey would have been, you know, getting as much stick for the last couple of days as Lindelof got at West Brom. Funnily enough, it's in the first minute or two as well, just like it was at West Brom. But you get away with it just through luck. Sheer luck that they didn't score. But then because they don't score, it's like forgotten about. It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. It's an equally big deal. So he did that, and then also, literally only a minute later, they got through the inside right channel where he went across to challenge somebody and got there, but for some reason didn't get hold of the. He should have got the ball, but he didn't. So they had two chances in the first 3 minutes, I'd say. One was definitely Bailey's fault, and on the other one, he should have done better as well. But he did calm down and did do a lot better after that. So, but Lindelof will come back in. I'm certain of it. All I'm saying is, you know, you make mistakes in football, and sometimes you get punished, and sometimes you don't. It doesn't mean that your mistake was any worse than another person's, or any better, or any less poor than somebody else's mistake. So I think the back four will be Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire. Shaw will come back in. I'm sure of that. So Luke Shaw will be at left back. I think McTominay might get a rest. He was supposed to have had a knock. He was doubtful for the game the other night, and then also got a knock in the game. So it might be the same thing. I think McTominay will get a breather me against Newcastle. I think it'll be Fred and Matic. Obviously Pogba's injured. I don't think he'll put Van der Beek in. He missed the game the other night with a knock. I'd be surprised if he doesn't go with his two proper midfield players, as I call them, defensive midfield players, as other people might want to call them. So I think Fred and Matic will play. I think Bruno will play at number 10. I would love to think that Dan James would get a game. I thought Marshall did well at number 9. It's a real tricky one, the front line, but I think, in my opinion, Ollie will go with what he's been going with just recently. I think he'll go with Greenwood, Cavani and Rashford. I would go with Dan James and Martial and let the others struggle for between themselves for the other single spot in the front three. I thought Dan James played that well the other night. There you go. So whatever he goes, we need the 3 points. We've got to get the 3 points and certainly keep ourselves as fit. I don't see us as title challengers. I do see us as favourites for the top 4 spot, and we need to keep it like that. So we need those 3 points. If you've enjoyed that show, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.